2 NBA players, 1 card game, guns drawn in the locker room. Yeah, it happened. And story number 10, it's so insane most fans refuse to believe it. Here are 10 NBA stories so wild they feel like urban legends, but every single one is true. Let's start with the card game that nearly ended in tragedy. In December 2009, a card game on a team flight triggered bad blood between Washington Wizards teammates Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton. Arenas loved pushing buttons, but Crittenton wasn't laughing. His response, "You keep talking about fighting. I play with guns." A few days later during a practice, Arenas brought unloaded guns and laid them near Crittenton's locker stall to call his bluff. But Crittenton came prepared. With a loaded gun of his own, teammates fled the locker room in panic. No shots were fired. The fallout was brutal. Both players were suspended for the rest of the 2009-2010 season by NBA Commissioner David Stern. Arenas pled guilty to firearms charges, 2 years probation, time at a halfway house, and 400 hours community service. Crittenton got probation. But it didn't end there. The 2025 documentary, Untold: Shooting Guards, revisits the incident with deep interviews. It shows how this confrontation damaged both men's futures. Arenas never returned with the same reputation. Crittenton's NBA career ended, and he later was convicted of voluntary manslaughter in 2015 for killing an innocent bystander. He was released in 2023. On November 19, 2004, the NBA witnessed one of its darkest nights, the infamous Malice at the Palace. With under a minute left in a nationally televised game, the Indiana Pacers were up by 15 when Ron Artest committed a hard foul on Ben Wallace. A scuffle followed, typical NBA stuff, until Artest stepped away and laid down on the scorer's table to cool off. Then, a fan threw a full cup of beer, hitting Artest in the chest. He snapped, charging into the stands after the wrong man. Teammates like Stephen Jackson followed, and chaos erupted. Players swung at fans. Fans stormed the court. It was a full-on brawl, broadcast to millions. The fallout? Artest was suspended for 86 games, the longest non-drug suspension in league history. Jackson got 30 games, Jermaine O'Neal 15, and Ben Wallace 6. Careers were forever altered. In response, the NBA overhauled arena security, cracked down on alcohol sales, and added rules to stop bench players from escalating fights. It wasn't just a brawl. It was a watershed moment that forced the league to rethink how it handled player-fan interaction and public image. On November 6, 1969, the Chicago Bulls trailed the Atlanta Hawks by 2 with just 1 second left. Bob Weiss missed a desperation shot, but center Tom Borwinkle tipped it in, seemingly tying the game. The crowd erupted, but referee Bob Raquel waved it off, claiming the buzzer had sounded before the tip. Even the scoreboard still showed 1 second remaining. Bulls players and coaches stormed the court in disbelief. The next day, Bulls GM Pat Williams filed a formal protest. A long shot, but after reviewing timekeeper testimony and footage, Commissioner Walter Kennedy upheld it, ordering the final second to be replayed months later. When that moment came, it fizzled. The final second ticked off quietly, the game went to overtime, and Atlanta won 142-137. Still, the protest made history as the first ever upheld in NBA history. During the 2002-2003 season, the Portland Trail Blazers were loaded with big personalities, and things sometimes got physical off the court. After one practice, veterans Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells hyped up a playful wrestling match between Ruben Patterson and a teenage Zach Randolph. But it went sideways fast. Patterson, nearly 30 and far stronger, grabbed Randolph and body slammed him onto the concrete floor beneath the locker room carpet. Witnesses called it the slam heard around the world. The result? Randolph suffered back contusions and missed 2 weeks of regular season action. Costly time for a young player trying to prove himself. He later called Patterson a bully and said he got slammed all across the locker room. What started as locker room fun turned into a real injury, proof that even off-the-court muscle can leave lasting damage. NBA players haven't just dominated opponents, They've broken the game's equipment. The first recorded backboard break came in 1946, when future actor Chuck Connors shattered one during warm-ups. But by the late 70s, Daryl "Chocolate Thunder" Dawkins made it a show, famously shattering 2 backboards in 1979, sending glass flying and games into chaos. Then came Michael Jordan, who in 1985 shattered a backboard during a Nike exhibition game in Italy. His fast break dunk sent glass raining across the court, ending the game on the spot. That moment became legend, and even his orange and black shattered backboard jersey would become a high-value collector's item. In the early 90s, Shaquille O'Neal didn't just break glass, he ripped down entire rim supports, collapsing entire basket systems mid-game. Eventually, the NBA responded with breakaway rims, tempered glass, and new rules to prevent intentional destruction. Today, backboard breaks are nearly impossible, but they left a trail of highlights and havoc in their wake. In one of the NBA's most bizarre behind-the-scenes moments, Chris Paul and James Harden reportedly used a secret tunnel inside Staples Center to confront former Clippers teammates. The rivalry had been brewing for years, especially after Paul's exit from LA tensions peaked after a chippy Rockets-Clippers game in 2018. According to reports, Clint Capella distracted security at the main entrance, while Paul, knowing the arena layout from his Clippers days, led Harden and others through a hidden service tunnel to the Clippers locker room. What followed wasn't a brawl, but a heated shouting match that caught Clippers players and security completely off guard. The league investigated. Nothing major came of it, but the story exploded online. It showed just how far NBA beef can go, and that even the architecture isn't safe from drama when egos collide. Before official mascots and halftime shows, one fan practically became part of the game. His name? Dancing Harry. Starting in 1969, Harry, real name Marvin Cooper, performed during timeouts while following Earl Monroe and the Baltimore Bullets. Dressed in capes, hats, and glittery outfits, he became famous for his signature hex dance, where he'd strut toward the opposing bench, casting fake curses to the delight of home fans. His act grew so disruptive that when Monroe joined the Knicks, Harry followed, only to be banned from Madison Square Garden for being too distracting. Other teams like the Nets and Pacers welcomed him, even paying him to perform. Harry's antics inspired future fan performers like Dancing Barry, and he helped pave the way for the NBA's full embrace of mascots and in-game entertainment. One guy with rhythm and flair showed just how much energy a single fan could bring to the arena. Shaquille O'Neal wasn't just a dominant force on the court. He was a locker room legend for his outrageous rookie hazing rituals. According to former teammates, Shaq's pranks were wild and often physical. He'd tackle rookies, wrestle them, sometimes completely naked, and body slam them in front of laughing vets. These weren't official league moments. They were oral history, passed down through shocked and amused teammates. For veterans, it was about building team chemistry. For rookies, it was a rite of passage, or a nightmare, depending on who you ask. While some saw it as bonding, others admitted Shaq pushed the line. But one thing's certain, these antics became part of his legend, showing that even off the court, chaos followed Shaq everywhere. In the middle of the 1997-98 season, the Chicago Bulls were chasing their 6th championship. But Dennis Rodman had other plans. He needed a vacation. Rodman literally told Coach Phil Jackson he needed 48 hours to blow off steam in Las Vegas. Against all odds, the team said yes. What followed was a legendary disappearance. Rodman partied nonstop, missed his deadline, and forced Michael Jordan himself to fly to Vegas, bang on his hotel room door, and drag him back to practice. Rodman wasn't alone either. Carmen Electra later admitted she was hiding behind the couch when Jordan showed up. The Bulls went on to win the title that year, but the story became a wild chapter in the Last Dance documentary and confirmed what most fans already knew. Dennis Rodman played by his own rules, and somehow it worked. In 1997, Warriors star Latrell Sprewell shocked the league by choking his head coach P.J. Carlesimo during practice. The altercation started after Carlesimo criticized Sprewell's passes. Sprewell snapped, grabbed him by the throat, and reportedly choked him for nearly 10 seconds before being pulled off. Then came back later and tried to go at him again. The Warriors terminated his contract, and the NBA suspended him for 68 games. At the time, the longest non-drug-related ban in league history. It was one of the most violent player-coach incidents ever, and it shocked a league that had already seen its share of wild behavior. These stories highlight how much of NBA history unfolded far from the televised highlight reels. Locker room confrontations, fan clashes, bizarre protests, and even shattered backboards didn't just create headlines, they forced the league to change rules, tighten security, and introduce new player education programs to prevent the same mistakes from happening again. Behind the polish of the league's image are chaotic, unpredictable moments that change careers and reshape policy. Which of these surprised you most? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoy these kind of deep dives into NBA history, make sure to subscribe for more. That's all for this one. See you in the next video.